Hey gang, Stephen Marshall, KYLandlordlaw.com with another update for you. Want to give you the lay of the land on where things stand with evictions as of today. It's Friday, April the 3rd, and we've had some new developments this week. Things continue to develop at a fast and furious pace. So want to give you kind of the lay of the land on where we are as of today. Here's the background for those of you who have not kept up. I'll make this as quick as I can. The governor has suspended all evictions throughout the state of Kentucky until he lifts the state of emergency. And we don't know when that's going to be. Earlier this past week, the Kentucky Supreme Court issued a separate order extending the closure of the state courts for all non-emergency proceedings, including eviction hearings, until May the 1st. What's new in their most recent order is that they also suspended all filings of evictions for 30 days after that order expires, which is on May the 1st. So 30 days after May the 1st would be roughly June the 1st before any new evictions can be filed. And part of what's driving that is obviously the public health concern of having people changing, transitioning, losing their homes while this epidemic's going on. Now, one of the great privileges I have as an attorney is I sit on the board of directors of the Greater Lexington Apartment Association. And I'm also a part of the Emerging Apartment Association of Kentucky, which is kind of a conglomerate of the big apartment associations, Lexington, Louisville, and Northern Kentucky, along with an affiliate in Bowling Green. And in the recent weeks, that group has been working behind the scenes, led by the executive directors of those groups. J.D. Carey is the executive director of the Kentucky Apartment Association and the Louisville group. Brenda Wells in Lexington, Mark Franks up in Northern Kentucky. They've been working behind the scenes to try to get something done about evictions, because as a lot of you guys are realizing, people get evicted for more than non-payment of rent. And so if all evictions are stopped, some of you are left dealing with some dangerous situations on your properties. So they've been working behind the scenes with the governor's office to try to get something changed about his eviction policy. A letter went out earlier this week requesting that he allow exceptions to his no eviction policy for situations where there's criminal activity or where someone's engaging in behavior that constitutes a public health or safety threat. And I'm happy to report that the governor's office has been responsive. They have now agreed to create a waiver for landlords in two situations. And really, it's one situation with two categories. It exists, the waiver will be granted when there is an emergency situation. And it's got to be an emergency situation in one of two ways. One, where you have someone who is engaging in dangerous criminal activity on the property. That's category one. And the second, when someone is a serious threat to health and public safety. Okay, that's verbatim, the two categories. Engaging in dangerous criminal activity, or they're creating a serious threat to health and public safety. So I need to emphasize that to you. The waiver is only for emergency situations. It's not for minor criminal issues. Okay, it is a situation where other residents are in danger because of the behavior of one of your residents. If this waiver scenario gets abused, I'm told it's going to be taken down. Okay, it's going to be taken away. So we have to tread lightly. We have to tread carefully and only use it when it's absolutely necessary. If you have a question about whether your situation qualifies as an emergency situation and fits into one of those two categories, as always, reach out to your friendly neighborhood attorney. Now, here's the protocol. Here's how to take advantage. Here's how to respond if you have one of those situations. Number one, always call the police. Okay? If you've got someone on your property engaging in dangerous criminal activity, always, always, always call the police. Now, if you've got a situation where someone has been diagnosed with COVID-19 and they're refusing to quarantine, contact your local health department. Okay, they can help you with that and take action in response to that. Once you've done those two things, you still have to send the appropriate notice. Okay, for Lexington, Louisville, and the other 17 parts of the state that have adopted the Uniform Residential Landlord-Tenant Act, you're giving a 14-day notice unless your lease requires you to give longer notice. If you're not in a Landlord-Tenant Act area, you're going to give the amount of notice that your lease requires. If your lease doesn't say how much notice to give, you have to give 30 days notice. If at the end of the notice period your tenant has not vacated or surrendered the property or hasn't corrected the violation, then there's a link that you can click on and go to a website to request a waiver from the governor's office. And I'll give you the link in the blog post that accompanies this video. That waiver request will be reviewed by the governor's deputy counsel, and they will contact you on how to proceed. Okay, so you're going to call the police, you're going to contact the health department, you're going to send the tenant, the offending tenant, the appropriate notice, and then you're going to fill out the waiver form once the notice expires and the tenant hasn't either corrected or vacated. Then you go to the website and fill out the waiver form, and you'll be contacted with instructions on what to do after that. So let me recap, give a few brief reminders. Make sure you only use this form when you have evidence. If you've ever done an eviction for reasons other than non-payment of rent, you realize that you have to have evidence. That means you have to have people who have witnessed the dangerous behavior. If you're the manager or owner of that property and you didn't witness it, you're just going off what you heard, you have to have the actual witnesses to testify about it. Okay, you can't testify about behaviors that you have not seen or witnessed yourself. So there has to be witnesses of this dangerous criminal activity or this serious threat to public health. People who have witnessed suspicious behavior, that's not going to qualify as evidence of dangerous criminal behavior. Okay? Now, suspicious behavior should be investigated, but we're not sending out notices or filling out this waiver form based on suspicious behavior. Only when we have evidence, someone who has seen or you have surveillance video of dangerous criminal behavior or a serious threat to public health. Make sure it's an emergency situation, okay? Smoking marijuana inside your unit is annoying. Other residents will be bothered, but that's not going to constitute dangerous criminal behavior at this point. Now, what does constitute dangerous criminal behavior will probably get defined a bit further in the days ahead, and I'll update you as it does. But right now, you got to remember, it's going to be something that creates a direct hazard, a direct danger to other residents on the property. If you have questions about that, reach out to your friendly neighborhood attorney, and he or she will be able to help you navigate those waters. And then the last thing, I don't usually do this, but join and support your local apartment association. Okay, those folks are working very hard behind the scenes to make life better for rental owners and managers in the state. They need all the support that they can get. So join your local association, jump in and be active in it. Okay, tons of great educational opportunities, tons of legislative assistance, as you can see with this. So guys, hang in there. This thing is going to be around for a while. Life is going to be very different for all of us. We're all being impacted, and it's not going away anytime soon. And we are all figuring things out on the fly. Everything's developing fairly rapidly, and I'll continue to update you. I'm hearing fantastic reports so far of how landlords and tenants are working together to get through this, and it's my hope and expectation that that will continue. So I appreciate everything that you're doing. I appreciate all of you. As always, be sure to reach out to me if I can help you. You guys have a fantastic weekend. Stay safe.